Clemson and Ohio State, going into last year and this year respectively, have a number of things in common. Number one, veteran coach, who we know can win big games and has done so many times before. Number two, veteran quarterback. Last year, Will Howard wasn't an Ohio State veteran. He was, however, a college football veteran who had won a conference championship. Oh, Kade Klubnik did it last year. That's another similarity. Number three, high level of returning production with NFL talent on both sides of the ball. Yep, check that particular mark. And trait number four. We'll see if it plays out this way. I'm not making my official prediction here. I'm just saying it can happen. They could both have 10-2 regular seasons and wind up winning the national championship. So here's something I genuinely hope. I talk about schedules a lot on this show because I see it outside of realignment, which is, settled down-ish roughly for the time being. I see it as probably the biggest issue in college football. It makes no sense. It's crazy, makes the product worse. There are all sorts of issues that stem from the way we do scheduling in college football. It's never made sense, and it won't until they just, let me do it as the schedulings are. My services are available anytime. We can discuss a fee. It would be pretty sizable, but I think fair. It'd be fair. I wouldn't be in it for the money. I just want to be fairly compensated for my time. So Clemson's preseason win total is 9.5. And I am not somebody that looks at high win totals and says, ooh, Vegas thinks they're going to be a good team. I think they're going to be a good team. They're automatically going over their win total. I promise it's not always the case. It's just the case on today's show. I like Clemson over 9.5. They could go 10-2 and win the national championship. Now, what I hope, even though they play in the ACC, which is viewed as the third or fourth best conference in college football, is that if they go 10-2, but don't make the ACC title game, I really hope that they get into the playoff without question. Do you understand that Clemson starts and ends with two teams I have as preseason top 5 SEC programs going into this year? Yeah, LSU is my number 4. South Carolina is my number 5. Those are the bookends of Clemson's schedule. Not to mention, there's no Miami on this slate. There is, however, Georgia Tech and Louisville both on the road. The Clemson Tigers have to be absolute positive road warriors this year if they want to get back to the college football playoff. Just get back to it. I don't think the committee will let them in at 9-3. Heck, I don't even know if I would want them in at 9-3. I have really high hopes for Clemson. I'm not someone who thinks Dabo Swinney can't coach anymore. They're going into their third straight year having the same head coach, quarterback, and offensive coordinator. And I got to tell you, off the top of my head, I don't know that exists in another Power 4 program in college football. I really don't. Please name it if I'm missing it. I don't believe it exists. So to have that unique trio, in addition to a team that won the ACC last year in a thriller over SMU, was competitive with Texas on the road. They lost by 14. If you watched it, though, like Boise State and Penn State in their quarterfinal game, the final score was not indicative of how close and competitive the game actually was. Clemson should be a really, really good football team this year. I mean, really good. And if they're not, we'll ask questions as to why, and they might just all circle back to the head coach is not as good as he used to. We might need to reassess whether he can get back to the top in college football. Doesn't mean he should be fired. Just means you might need to reassess. So I am putting out a scenario here in which Clemson misses the ACC title game, but and it's just a possibility because you never know how those crazy tiebreakers go. They miss the ACC title game, but they could still go out and win the national championship. Ohio State went 10-2, missed the Big Ten championship game, got into the playoff. The rest is history. So I think Clemson finishes at 10-2. There are a lot of different iterations of how they could wind up at 10-2. But I think the only reason that Clemson's win total is not 10.5, which is the highest that is given to any team in college football going into a season. I don't know that FanDuel's given out 11.5 before. The only reason is the schedule is pretty darn brutal. You open with LSU at home. I do think they will win that game. I'm going to make Brian Kelly prove me wrong before I pick him to win a week 1 game. He has not had a stellar record in such instances. Florida State, USC hasn't gone well. It's in Clemson, so I'm taking the Tigers at home. Then they play Troy. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you all the games that I didn't have to think about when picking Clemson's schedule here. Syracuse at home, North Carolina on the road, Boston College on the road, SMU at home. I thought about SMU a little, but at home, no, I'll take Clemson. Duke at home, Florida State at home, Furman at home. Okay, I didn't have to think that hard about those. Like, no, Clemson should win those games. The Tigers' season will be defined by the following games. Game 12 at South Carolina. The aforementioned Game 1 against LSU. Game 3 at Georgia Tech. And Game 10 at Louisville. And, sometimes I make a decision, I prep a segment, I have an idea, and then as I start saying it out loud, I go, no, I don't like that. Don't think I like that at all. So I'm going to call a small audible here. I'm going to say Clemson finds a way to win their 3rd game at Georgia Tech. I had that as an upset loss. I think their loss is going to be at Louisville. I'm going to give South Carolina the win week 12. Here's my thinking. And again, kid you not, I am making these changes in real time because sometimes they sound different when I say them than they do in my head. South Carolina went into Clemson last year and won. That's not the only reason that I think South Carolina can win that game. It's a coin flip. It's a number of coin flips. But Dabo Swinney has got some level of pressure. At least I hope that he knows that he's got some level of pressure. I don't think, not that having a home playoff game is ever a bad thing. If Clemson's a 1-loss ACC team and they wind up going to or missing the conference championship game because of tiebreakers and they host a playoff game, I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing in the world. But what I come back to time and again with Clemson is they've got the roster to dominate, but are they going to dominate this schedule the way they're capable of? I don't think so. I think their ceiling's actually 11-1 just because the schedule is so hard. If you took to go to Georgia Tech, who's my preseason number 4 team in the ACC, to Louisville, who's my preseason number 3, and to South Carolina, if you go 2-1 in those games, you're doing phenomenally well. You're doing great, sweetie. That would be really, really good football. But between Louisville and Georgia Tech, I think Clemson will get tripped up one time. And if that sounds crazy to you, I've watched Clemson teams that have been really good go to Syracuse and lose before. Things can get crazy over there. So I think a split of the tough ACC road games and a split of the SEC games, that sounds like the most likely scenario to me. Don't sleep on that Georgia Tech game. It is one of the most under-the-radar conference matchups early in the season. It is game 3 for the Clemson Tigers, and I'm excited. I'm excited. Brent Key and the boys, he's going to run the ball, as he likes to say. I don't know if that was a good Brent Key impression. We're going to call it good enough for today. And that is how we wrap today's show, with an in-the-moment alteration. Can I do that? Yes, because this is my show. But I appreciate you watching. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. And until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.